and she needs her script. Hold on, sorry, I'm looking up jokes. My name is Abby Stamp, and I'm the Executive Director of Measure 110, and I'll be helping usher our next conversation for the Oversight and Accountability Council to make additional Behavioral Health Resource Network funding decisions. The Oversight and Accountability Council welcomes and encourages community input. Members of the public are invited to submit public comments or to get on our interested parties email list by emailing oha.measure110@oha.oregon.gov. And before I proceed, are we good recording, Carly and Roland? Great, of course we are. That email address and more information about the council, 110 OAC website. OAC members have asked that OHA and other staff who are present in the meeting space, please introduce themselves in the chat. Please share your role with the agency, and if you are a subject matter expert, your area of expertise. And I would turn it over to our Tri-Chair Dharma, but she is not able to join us today, so I will continue to usher our conversation about the drug treatment services recovery funds and burn decision making. I do want to remind folks, and I'll continue to give the same reminder at the panel reviews. We're meeting again tomorrow. These meetings are public, and both applicants and members of the public are watching either live or with a recording. And the applications and the applicants really should be judged based on the information that is in the applications alone. So when either y'all as the OAC or the review panel come together and make statements or have outside information about the application, particularly when the information has not been fact checked, it can create a perception for those watching that decisions are being made in part based on potentially inaccurate information. So I just want to say that. And just be sure that we're focusing, and I'll help to remind folks that the conversation will focus on the information in the application. And I know that's hard because I was just asked about subject matter experts, and we all are in our own regard. So, okay. So last night, which yes, Zeb feels like 5 minutes ago, we had a pretty heartbreaking but finished a conversation about Jackson County. And we are going to dive into today into the J's and the K's. So we're going to go, let's see, and Carly, we're meeting for an hour. We're until 12:30. Then we pick up at 1.
Yes, but we'll lose quorum at 12:25. Me, is that when you said you needed to leave about 5 before 12:30?
I could stay on until 12:30.
Okay.
It would be great to finish at 12:25. We can see if we could do a county or two. Any progress is progress, right? And so I'm going to share with you all that yesterday you finished phase 1. So if you recall that the applications were scored in phases because there were so many. So kudos. Thank you for your hard work. I appreciate it. Applause, applause. And now we're moving into phase 2, and we're going to start with Lincoln County. Any discussion, question? I share my screen and we dive back in?
No.
No, okay. I do want to uplift some conversation we had before we started the recording, and the real meat of the meeting is it's a gift if folks are in a space to be able to safely turn on their camera and be able to participate and see each other during these hard conversations. And as your facilitator, super selfishly, that makes my job easier, being able to like get a sense of like what's going on, because I really want to be able to read body language and, at least from the neck up, right? So anyway, thank you. Thank you if you are able to do so for OAC members. That's fantastic. And of course, understand if unable to do so. Okay.
Sorry, Abby, attendance.
Gosh, darn it. I'm always forgetting something.
You're just ready to get it done.
Would you take attendance, please?
Of course. Me.
Here.
Amy?
I'm here.
Hi, Amy. Caroline?
Here.
Hi, Caroline. Dharma's not here. Hubert?
Here.
Hey, Hubert. Hunter? Jackie?
Here.
Hey, Jackie. Josh? Leticia? I know I saw you. If you can't unmute, you can put that you're here in the chat. Linda's not here. Mason? No. Melissa? Morgan?
Here.
Brian?
Here.
Sabrina?
I'm here.
Zeb?
I'm here, and I'm gonna have to declare conflict. So let me know when I should do that.
Perfect.
I
Thank
got
you.
skipped.
You did, Keisha. I'm sorry. I marked that you were here, but didn't call on you. Keisha, are you here?
Yes.
Thank you. And we are good to go at exactly 11.
And Leticia is here with her hand up.
Oh, I got her.
I had to step away for one moment. I am here.
Thank you, Leticia.
And we will start our discussion with Lincoln County with a call for conflicts. For the record, the providers are Boulder Care, Community Helping Addicts Negotiate Change Effectively, or CHANCE, Community Services Consortium, Faith, Hope, and Charity, Helping Hands Reentry Outreach Centers, Lincoln County Health and Human Services, Northwest Coastal Housing, Phoenix Wellness Center, and Samaritan Health Services. Zeb.
I have to declare conflict, an actual conflict for Phoenix Wellness Center, being a clinical director and part owner. Thank you.
Anybody else? An actual or potential conflict? Okay. Here's our homepage. All of the information about every applicant in Lincoln County, Oregon. I'm going to back out just a titch there. And all of the entities I just rattled off, their scores, noting that the service areas they applied for, if both reviewers from the review panel recommended funding, that is in green. If one reviewer recommended, that is in blue. And if both reviewers said, don't recommend that, that will be in orange. You also see the program costs here in column J and the total score, which we've talked about a number of times, which is a helpful tool sometimes, but not all the time. Going to what the review panel recommended. The review panel recommended funding these existing grantees. There are 7 of them. At the funding levels you'll see here, you'll see that it was recommended that screening and assessment and peer supports be removed from Lincoln County Health and Human Services. I believe they are the CMHP in that community. And housing was, because it was only recommended by one reviewer, was taken out of Phoenix Wellness Center, and harm reduction from Samaritan Health Services, which was not recommended by either reviewer in the orange here, was also removed. This also instituted a $750,000 per service area. So you see that here described in row 17 to help bring this county closer to the formula amount. The formula is just over 6 million. It is a small county by formula size with a $2 million base. And you'll see the award the review panel got down to is 7.6 million, which is still more than $1 million over the cap, not the cap, the formula. In terms of your priorities that you asked us to consolidate and look at for you, the only addition here would be Boulder Care, because in their application, they do talk about some levels of cultural and linguistic specificity. So we made sure that the applicant said that. We wanted to make sure to share that with you as well. And looking at all of the service areas put together with no reductions or no funding cap, that 750 or otherwise, the total request across the county with your priorities only is 17.7 million. And then doing the reduction exercise together here. So taking helping bring to a lower NTE and removing what you have indicated would be important is admin, indirect, and any expansion into new service areas. That brings us to column P, which is a $2 million cap plus those reductions, and it brings the formula down to 10.9, and recall that 6.09 is the formula maximum. And in order to bring these 8 providers in line with that maximum, it would need to bring those awards down to 60% of the ask, including the cap on the $2 million. Yes, saw Jackie's eyes, exactly that. And I know you asked for a percentage of the total, and if, Jason, I must have. Oh, we're going to continue with Lincoln, but you might see at the bottom of the screen, I clicked in the middle instead of going back to Jefferson, which was where we were going to start. So I apologize for that. I just started talking what was on my screen. So that is my error. Jason, because I screwed up, could you help but in column S here on the OAC recommendation chart, kind of what the percentage of the total ask and total NTE is? Thank you. I appreciate it. And I'll go explain the rest. And then just existing providers only and doing the same math across the way. And that again is the 7 providers without Boulder Care. And we're coming into needing to get down again to 60% in order to fund everybody at every service area. So that is the summary there. I apologize. I just clicked on the wrong county, but we'll back out to Jefferson as soon as we're done here with Lincoln. Keisha, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to be careful of going by the percentages of what they ask. Because some people are asking for like 12, 13, 15 million. When we say we put a cap on it, it looks like they barely like got any of that money, but it was an outrageous ask from the get-go. So it's kind of poisonous to the process to go by how much of a percentage that we had to come down for someone. It's not like everyone started at the same place and this is how much they got cut. It's going to look different if the person asked for way more money than, you know.
You were a little garbled. I think I understand, is that you are sharing that doing a across the board percentage reduction is an apple. It has different consequences based on the total the person is at, the entity is asking for.
So it's a little prejudicial to look at how much somebody's asking for or how much their total went down when some people are asking for outrageous amounts. So say somebody asks for 20 million and we take 70 and we give them 70%, it's like what, 13 million, and like the cap is like 5 million. So it's not really a clear pathway to figure out something.
Well, what I'm wanting to do is make sure that I'm reflecting all of the information you and your colleagues have asked for, because these are all hard decisions. So I'll go back and kind of look at the not to exceed totals here, which is these run anywhere from 860 all the way up to 5.1 are the totals. I'll try to wide chart while Jason's doing that math. So this is a hard one. Where would you like the conversation to begin, Sabrina?
I was wondering if we could please look at the existing the existing providers,
Of course.
and then if we could look at the panel review recommendations.
So what the panel review did is they instituted a $750,000 limit on each of the service areas, and then kind of with a little more prescription took out specific service areas. And if I recall correctly, those on the panel who were there can affirm or deny my thinking, but that with the because screening and assessment was being offered by Phoenix Samaritan and then the Community Services Consortium, and that Lincoln County Health and Human Services was the CMHP, that felt like a better recommendation, and to continue to support the CMHP to use their alternative funding resources. And same with peer support, and then the other two, the blue and the orange, were taken out just because they weren't, the double yeses. So and again, that $750,000 cap, which does limit some of the requests. Morgan.
And just for context there, at the time we were still thinking to try to, that we had to break it up by service area. So even if we didn't know like what would be the best allotment for the org, um, we've trying to sort of like artificially do it. And then later, as we sort of optimized the process, we realized we could just set the cap by the organization and like let them. So this was done by a previous way. So like if I were to go back and do the panel review on this one again, I probably wouldn't, mandate every single service area like that, but rather do using.
Sabrina?
Yes, can we take a look at the two graphs below, the priorities and then the existing?
No problem. So the OAC priorities, the only difference between this and the existing is that it includes Boulder Care. All of the numbers are exactly the same except for that. So this comes to the discussion yet again. This is going to be the place that you find yourselves every meeting is how do you want to spread out the limited dollars for Lincoln County? There is a way here to give your grantees funds to remain in the service space in this community. And maybe starting to look, I'm going to use that pink color again, at the NTE. Where's my pink? Versus kind of potentially less the recommendations you wanted to look at, the admin and whatnot, is a place to start. I know that there's been and as I've watched you have conversations, the idea of removing someone who's currently providing services is heartbreaking. So I think either limiting budgets or having that hard conversation is a good place for you to start this conversation with these providers. And thank you for the hands. We're going to start with Caroline.
So can you remind me the red underneath Samaritan Health, underneath harm reduction with the 68,238?
That's a really red orange, but it's supposed to be orange. And
okay.
This is a service area that the two people who reviewed the application in whole both said, no, we wouldn't recommend funding this service area for Samaritan Health Services. And that's harm reduction for 68,000.
Thank you.
Yep. Sabrina.
Sorry, my mouse gets stuck sometimes. I don't know. Just from looking at all three of them, I'm more in favor, personally myself, as existing providers, one on the bottom.
Great. Thank you. That's great. Any place to start is a place to start. So what are folks' thoughts about getting to about $6.1 million? You see here, it would take 60% to get in that ballpark. Thank you, Jason, so much. Appreciate you.
I'm in agreement with that.
With getting to 60%?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear what you.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that too.
Okay, Morgan's nodding, but Leticia's hand is up first.
Me too. I'm in agreement with that and funding the current providers, which I think is the graph that we're currently looking at.
Correct.
Are we currently over funding at 60%?
Yeah, you'll see Jason showed us there that it's $59,000 over the formula.
Okay, I'm not sure what everybody else thinks, but how about removing the harm reduction from that bottom organization that both of the reviewers said would not be a good idea to fund? I just can't see the name of the organization. So yeah, removing the Samaritan Health Services harm reduction amount.
And that, I believe that's already pulled out as the service area expansion anyway.
It
So
already is.
that dollar
Okay.
amount is being backed out of the ask already.
Okay.
Good call.
Can we remove like $10,000 from each one of the grantees to get us where we need to be?
Morgan?
Could I just see the percentages? Oh, let's see, percent of original ask. Dang. So I would take the remainder out of row 45 and 49.
So that would be
Usually.
Chance and Northwest Coastal Housing.
Yeah, just as they were the least impacted, which is saying a lot because everyone was exceptionally impacted here. But
So
we're
So
super
Hubert
close.
recommended spreading out the small deficit, and Morgan is suggesting two specific providers. Thoughts about those approaches? Sabrina?
I'm in agreement with Morgan.
Okay. Hubert, how you feel about that?
I can go with it.
Okay. Jason, if you don't mind, thank you so much. And that would bring Lincoln County around the formula amount to it. Sabrina?
I don't mean to jump the gun, but do we think we're at a point for a motion?
Yes.
Okay, then I would like to put the motion forward to approve Lincoln County for the existing providers list is the way it is now.
And I second it.
Okay, Sabrina moves, Hubert seconds to approve Lincoln County existing providers only. I want to make sure that I want to make sure that the math that you see is right and that feels right before you vote, because I just, and Jason, you holler when we're good enough. Thanks, Kathy, for capturing the motion.
Do you want something different other than 60% of ask?
It's the 60% of, it's not the 60% of the ask, it's 60% of column P, which is 60% of the amount of NTE less admin and under that $2 million cap. And I see Jason's making a motion column, which is very helpful for tracking. Column S.
Column what? C.
Yeah, Sabrina?
Is the motion good as? Is it good right now? The verbiage?
I just put it in again, so is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Do I need to amend it to look like the verbiage in the chat?
Yes, please.
Okay, I would like to amend the motion for Lincoln County to move the existing providers for Lincoln County with funding only 60% of the less admin and 2 million cap.
Thank you, Sabrina, for amending your motion.
I second.
Amy seconds. Discussion? And I want to check in with Jason about how we're looking. Is it not adding up?
Yeah, something's not right yet. I'm still trying to. Oops, I muted myself in the middle of what I was saying, but I'm still trying to figure out what went wrong. So just 1 second here.
before the 1:30 meeting, everybody should come with their best dad joke.
That's what I'm doing. Yeah. There it is.
Yes.
Okay, that is the math now.
Thank you. Love, love, love. Okay.
I
So,
still have that same motion in there, but I put in parentheses in our recording that it sees the motion column.
right, column S.
Is that what that says, motion on top?
That's what that says.
Okay. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. So there's your final numbers. Are there any discussion about what you're seeing, or you ready? Pausing. Okay, let's vote. Go ahead, Carly.
Me, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Amy?
Yes.
Caroline?
Yes.
Hubert?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
Keisha?
Yes.
Leticia?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Sabrina, are you back? She did put yes in the chat. And Zeb has a conflict. That passes with 9.
Okay. Tough decisions, but a successful vote. I'm going to back all the way out to Jefferson. I know we've got about 30 minutes left, so let's dive into Jefferson County, Oregon. Call for conflicts. I did it. I'm sorry. So our applicants are Best Care, Boulder Care, and Climbing Mountains Counseling. Are there any actual or potential conflicts with these providers in Jefferson County, Oregon? Okay. So here, same presentation here. Jefferson County's formula is 3.9 million. The base is 2 million because it's considered a small county. We have 3 applicants. Best Care is the only existing burn, so 1 provider, and you can see that Best Care is reapplied for all 6 of the service areas. You will see here that the panel recommendations just took Boulder Care out of the mix and wanted to fund Best Care for all 6 service areas, and Climbing Mountains, a new applicant, only for the areas where they had 2 greens, where both reviewers said, yes, we recommend funding. There were concerns about the other 4 service areas. And the orange, both reviewers said, no, don't think so. And then you'll note their program costs, 1.2 for Best Care and 746 for Climbing Mountains. Looking at your priorities, it does, again, add Boulder Care back in because they do answer the question about being culturally and linguistically specific. But as per usual, Boulder Care will apply for SUD, peer support, and harm reduction. That's their application across the state. So with the county formula being just shy of 4 million, that total here is 6.5. Taking out all of your reductions, the total just less admin and with a cap gets to 3.6, which is already under the formula amount. So really no need to go into that 70% target. Or the option you also asked for was to look at just existing providers. Best Care could be almost fully funded. Their ask was 4 million, and the total formula for the state for the county is just shy of that. So here are your summary here. Here's everybody. What the panel review recommended, which is 2 for giving folks options in Jefferson County, but not including Boulder Care, and Climbing Mountains only for assessment and peer support. And then here are your priorities, which is a little more specific, adding Boulder Care back in, and then the existing provider only. So how would you like to begin your conversation on Jefferson? Morgan.
I think the panel review there with the 2, Best Care and Climbing Mountains, is probably what I would go with. That's the existing provider and another applicant that had a strong application, at least in those 2 categories. And then just for the amounts though, when we look at the percent of award, when the program costs are factored in, this would be Best Care getting 61% of their award, and Climbing Mountains, which is a brand new provider coming in, getting 75% of their award, with what the panel recommended.
Right.
So I would probably want to shift a little bit more to Best Care, like 15%, or 20% of Climbing Mountains' current budget to Best Care, just to get them at a little bit more stable, closer to their ask, since we are prioritizing funding existing providers. But other than that, that's what I would just go forward with, is funding Best Care a little bit more, funding those two.
Leticia?
I would also advocate to go with the panel review recommendations, and I would like to see them both at about the same percentage of award, close or as close as possible to, I don't know what that would be, 70, 71%.
Thank you. Other thoughts, Keisha?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy comparing them because they asked for two different amounts. And so comparing it by the percentages, it just, it's not landing for me. It's not fair. So I don't want to go, I don't know. I don't want to go by the percentages of the ask because the asks aren't the same. So the percentages gone aren't really, I don't know. It doesn't add up for me.
Additional thoughts, Caroline?
Second proposal,
Oh, sorry, Keisha, go
Right.
ahead.
but I like the exit, the review recommendations.
But you would like to see a less equity in the amount reduced by provider. You would like to see a little more. You would like to see Best Care reduced more than Climbing Mountains?
No, I wouldn't like to see it because it's like comparing apples to oranges. They're two different asks. They're two different. I don't know. It's just not the same. It's not the same comparison.
Okay. So if you have thoughts about what you would recommend, that would be awesome. And I'll let you think about that while Caroline goes next.
So I would, I would go with the existing provider only, since they are providing the whole burn. And so now we're going to be adding an additional. I think we're in agreement that Boulder Care is out, but I'm concerned with such a small county and that they are actually providing all areas. And I understand in terms of our priorities, but I mean, Jefferson County is within our area here. And so I do know that they are providing minority care. So I would go with the existing provider. And I'm sorry, I got to go answer a door. I'm the only one in this building, but that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you, Caroline. Keisha, your hand is still up. I want to see if you have more to say before I call on Morgan, who's next. Okay, Morgan, go.
It's kind of hard because when somebody makes a suggestion, everything changes and then it's not the same. So it's kind of hard.
Yeah, I know, but that this is hard work. So there's a few suggestions on the table. One is to go with the panel recommendation, which includes Climbing Mountains, at some level, which probably they would be able to do a couple of service areas and some discussion of different ways to make those reductions to meet the formula, equitably or differentially, just depending on what y'all decide, or going just with Best Care, the existing provider. And Morgan, please go ahead.
So I was a reviewer on Best Care here in Jefferson County. I would be very comfortable with Caroline's proposition also. There is a complete burn and is very well established and had an incredible emphasis on culturally specific and responsive services and bilingual services. So having read the application, I do think that the county would be well served if we only funded best care. And the allotment is right about their ask. Now I could go either way. I would be content with either proposal here, but I just want to say what Caroline suggested is sound.
Thank you, Morgan. Keisha.
Yeah, I know it's a small county, but still choice is important. I mean, even if there's only two providers. But sorry, my suggestion would be to give best care. I don't know how the numbers are falling right now, but give best care to 3 million and the remainder going to climbing mountains to get them closer to their ask. And yeah, I think it's what 9 point something, 9.98, 982,604.
That's correct. That would bring it to the formula.
I mean, just so they can have, choices. I mean, best care is still getting a good portion of their ask. And are they the CMHP or they're not?
Morgan is nodding, but I would need to look it up to confirm.
Best Care is CHMP, and I don't know if you can see my hand,
I
but
can.
there are more than one choice. So there is other choices, including the Confederate Tribes of Warm Springs, because we do have a portion of folks. So there are more than one provider within the county. So they are not the only, so there are choices for folks to go. I'm just kind of concerned in terms of adding another when there's not enough money to really look in terms of when we looked at the priorities. What I'm saying is the fact that it was our priorities, and so this is the reason why I think Boulder Care and whatever climbing mountains is, and what I'm saying is the fact that they are providing minority services because I know the demographics of Jefferson County, which is 1/3 Hispanic, 1/3 Native, and then 1/3 other. And so all I'm saying is the fact that it just concerns me when there's not enough money that we then start putting money into new programs. And when you look in terms of the fact that they are a true burn, and they are the mental health authority there, or what you guys call community mental health provider. So that is correct.
Thank you, Caroline. Leticia?
I'm not sure if we have a motion on the table currently. Oh, we don't. Okay. I would make a motion to fund the existing provider only, so funding best care.
Leticia moves.
Second.
Morgan seconds. Discussion? You show your hand is up?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I wouldn't be in favor of funding both organizations. Probably, really, because our priorities too are helping. Like, I know we don't have a lot of money, but we do have enough money to help climbing mountains out. While Best Care has a lot of streams of funding, and we are giving them the bulk of the money also. But I just feel like it would be better to fund them both. I mean, these two entities.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, let's vote.
Me, how do you vote?
Is the motion in the chat?
Yes.
I don't see it.
It is to move existing provider for Jefferson County adjusted to formula.
Yes.
Thank you. Amy?
Yes.
Caroline?
Yes.
Hubert?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
Keisha?
No.
Leticia?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
And Sabrina?
Yes.
And Zeb?
Yes.
That passes with 9.
Well, we've done 2 counties. We're going to jump into Josephine after I turn this one green. Okay. This is a big one also. I'm going to do a quick call for conflicts. In Josephine County, the applicants are Adapt, Boulder Care, Family Nurturing Center, Grace Roots, HIV Alliance, Max's Mission, On Track Inc., Options for Southern Oregon, Oregon Recovers, the Grants Pass Sobering Center, the Insight Alliance, and True Colors Recovery. Are there any conflicts today, potential or actual? Okay. All right, medium-sized county, base is 3 million. The total formula is just over $10 million. And so I'm trying to show the whole picture here. Boulder Care, Oregon Recovers, Inside Alliance, and True Colors Recovery are the 4 new providers that applied. You'll see the oranges and the greens and the blues, so you can see what the panel reviewers indicated, and also the program costs for your consideration. Here were the recommendations of the panel review, which are, there was here we go. It's in yellow over here. Whoop, sorry. Come on back. Here we go. So Ron motioned with this information. So removing Adapt, True Colors, and GPSC, which I don't remember which that was, and then make all requests over $1 million brought down to an even million. So that's the service area cap you'll see. And let me get Grants Pass Sobering Center. That is the one. And so it is just these existing providers, and it did remove some existing providers, and with the $1 million cap, and brought it down to the formula amount. And then you see the percentage of the ask, anywhere from 70 to 25%. But looking at your priorities, which includes Boulder Care, Insight Alliance, and True Colors, and the mathing you have requested of us. Moving over here. Getting down to 70% is still at 15.9, so still way over. And that percentage of ask. So it would probably need to go down even lower. Thanks, Jason. About 15.9. And finally, existing providers only, sorry for the nausea-inducing scrolling, is all of the service areas and providers, and looking at the reductions and getting down to a 70% is to 12.2, which is $2.1 million over the formula amount. So that is your summary for Josephine County. Where would you like to begin your conversation? Keisha.
Yeah, I would probably like to start with existing providers. It just seems like it's really strapped for money. And I'm just wondering, when we go with the 70%, It just seems like it should be for people who ask over the cap or something. Like some people are only asking for like, um, let me see, sorry. Like 920,000 and 70% of theirs looks a little different than somebody who's asking for 4 or 5 million. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of yeah, maybe adding some money back to some of the organizations that took a bigger hit.
And yet we're still 2 million over. So the question is actually, where would you, there's no good choices here, but what is the least terrible option of where you would want to remove those $2 million to bring it in line with the formula amount?
And if I can just point out that it is capped at 3 million and then the 70% is applied. So the 70% comes off of a $3 million cap. So some people are taking a large hit to get to the $3 million cap, then the 70%.
Right. So we're looking at adapt, Max's mission, on track, and options for Southern Oregon. We're all over $3 million. So they were, all of the other reductions were made to get them to a different NTE, and then the cap on top of that, and then the 70% on top. Morgan?
I see that the Grants Pass Sobering Center is the most intact applicant as a percent of their ask. I would like to see reductions there. I had concerns about their application. Actually, I didn't want to fund them at all, but at least pulling some just to try to get the percent of asks a little more equitable there, maybe. So that would be like what their NT is not that high, so I guess it's not actually all that much, but probably like 250 or 300 from them to try to get it in the low 50s.
They're only getting like 500,000, 586,000.
I am looking at the total percent of their ask here.
Caroline?
Could we go below 70%, like 68 or 67, and make it fair to all?
Would you like to see some of that math? See how it looks?
Yeah, or like, it might be, what, 2 million? That might be like a 65%, I think. Just off the top of my head.
Leticia?
I'm curious about the distribution of the money as far as the different areas. When we have a moment, can we just scroll over so we can see how much is going to housing, how much is going to SUD? Josephine County traditionally has very low access to housing, and so I would just like to advocate that none of the money comes off of the housing if we can.
Morgan? Sorry, I forgot to look up.
Yeah, I think Leticia just made a super important point. I mean, obviously, we're gonna have to cut some off housing because if it was fully funded, that would be 70% of the entire budget allotment. But let's think of some creative ways here to try to preserve housing more so than some of the other services. Just knowing how important that is.
Is that something where you would want to reduce a little bit more for organizations that are not applying for housing? Is it okay if I scroll back to see the math? So you can see where we're at. Do folks remember which organizations offered housing? So it was Adapt Family Nurturing Center, Grace Roots, HIV Alliance, and On Track.
And then can I just share my concerns with the Grants Pass Sobering Center
As
application?
long as it's just from the application, of course.
Yeah, it's directly from the application. Their introductory paragraph was something like, here in Grants Pass, we're a major drug trafficking hub and people come here to do drugs. So we have all this addiction problems from these people coming here. So our need is so high. And that just always really, really, really rubbed me the wrong way. But, taken in consideration with the other applications, they are providing a service. I just was so bothered by how they talked about people who use drugs in their application, which was them presenting the absolute best version of themselves. But there, it's on the record. I'm done. I'm over it.
You, Caroline.
So, yeah, I wish they didn't say it in that way, but I think when you look at the data, that it's probably a true statement. But I agree with you, Morgan, is the way they said it. But I think if you look at this, the data statewide, there's always been a big problem with some of these counties. I think every county could probably say that, but yeah, I hear you. But it's the writer who probably thought maybe it was leaning towards sympathy, but they are statistically always been pretty high.
But the statistically, it's not like foreign invaders, like drug users from California and Portland are coming into Grants Pass and be homeless. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know, but
I've heard some people go to Grants Pass
yeah.
just for drug use.
Yeah, it's.
So
I've heard that type of stuff when I worked for the state for years. In fact, we tried to do what we could to put additional dollars because of some of those concerns when we did community forums, when we used to do that, when we used to go around the state and actually meet with people. Those are some of the concerns that the community members brought up. And it's not a nice way of saying it. I mean, I don't agree, Morgan, with the way they said it. I'm just saying, unfortunately, the numbers that we used to see was that it was quite high in comparing it to the other counties.
thank you. So, keeping our eyes on what's in the application, we have 6 minutes left to discuss this community. Sabrina has her hand up. Please.
Yeah, I didn't catch, Morgan. Did you say that you were part of the review panel and or saw the application for the Grants Pass Sobering Center? Because I was wondering, did you think that there were other services in there that be worthy of us funding them, or anything that stuck out really where it was like, hey, we might want to take a look at this?
They are the sobering center in the county, so they're providing a valuable service.
That's for
Right.
drugs, sorry. Drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure it was for drugs and alcohol. Thank you.
Ryan and then Caroline. Ryan, go ahead.
Did we get to the number of with us across the board to 65% and funding the existing burn?
If you refresh, Abby, because it works out to be 58% if it's just an across the board to get down to the cap. But if you refresh, it should be there.
Okay. Thanks, Jason.
That was going to be my question too. Did we ever get to that request? So it's not 65, it's 58.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, that's the reality we have to deal with. I thought it was I thought 65, but 58.
And 58 leaves with 30,000 over still, but 57 goes where you have leftover. So
or 57.5 or 57.8. I'm just teasing now. Yeah, but I think that's getting us closer.
Morgan.
I'm just concerned for how much that reduces like HIV Alliance, which had a large ask for housing, like direct housing provision. this is, you know, all the services taking a hit equally, which again, there's a compelling argument to be made. I would be fine with that. But if there's any way for us to give the housing orgs more, if we could take more from peer support or something.
Yeah, they have big housing ads
Wait,
too.
hold on, we got hands. Zeb, you're up, and then Keisha, go ahead after Zeb.
Who's the CMHP? You may know.
I'll look it up. Or Kathy will, because she's.
It's Options for Southern Oregon.
It is, okay. Thanks, Ryan.
It is Options.
Thanks, Kathy.
All right, thank you. I mean, as we're seeing, these counties are really stretching their funds thin. I mean, we talked before about, you know, places that have other revenue streams. Do we start cutting something like that to make room for more money for the other providers that need it?
I'm going to come back to you in a second, Zeb, but Keisha, go ahead, please.
Second Zeb's point, like maybe cut in from the CMHP to make more money for the other existing providers.
So my question for both of you is, can you give a recommendation on what that should look like?
I would cut it out.
Completely, or leave them with something to be part of the burn?
Completely.
Other thoughts? Brian?
Yeah, I think, and I understood that logic in other counties. But I think we want to continue to fund the whole burn, and if organizations have other streams of revenue, that leads to better chances of sustainability beyond the current funding.
Zeb, and then Morgan, and then we're going to need to pause until we reconvene at 1:30.
I mean, I think we just got some tough decisions to make. If we got CCOs and QMHPs or CMHPs applying for funds, I mean, we got to make tough decisions. You know, if these other organizations can benefit more from those funds.
Morgan?
Yeah, I think like Zeb said, it's maximizing return on investment for our dollars. Where will they go furthest? And so I know, yeah, we're about to break, but I would, or a motion that cuts Option for Southern Oregon out, or just not at all. And then because we have the maximum for the organizations, and then just like making a note when they go in to renegotiate, if their budgets have sort of shrank below what they wanted to do in the application, like on peer support, that we try to get some folks to redirect some of their stuff to housing.
Yeah, I would just, as you all re-engage in this conversation in an hour, look at what Options for Southern Oregon is applying for, and just the availability of SUD, and making sure that there's, you know, part of the burn has ample supports for that area as well. Okay, go get some food, go get outside. See you back here in an hour. Thanks, everybody.